this video, we're going to talk about classifying triangles. You probably remember that the definition of a triangle is basically the union of three line segments that are determined by three non-collinear points. So in other words, if you have a triangle, let me draw a triangle here. Okay. Right. Okay, that one doesn't looks kind of right, but it's better now. So if we have a triangle like this one, all right, we can mark these points that are called vertices. And this vertex joined the sides, okay? So you have three non-collinear points, all right, that are joined by these line segments, okay? So one way of naming a triangle is putting names, putting letters, capital letters to each one of these vertices. So we call this A, we call this V, and we call this C. And like this, we can call this triangle ABC, okay? Triangle ABC is this triangle. Also, since we don't have like any kind of way of mixing the angles, we know that this triangle has three angles, and we're going to call them angle A with this symbol, angle B, and angle C. Okay, so that's how you name a triangle, and that's how you define a triangle, right? By the union of three line segments that are determined by these three non-collinear points. Now, we can classify the triangles in two different ways, by their sides and by their angles. So let's go with the sides. So let's classify the triangles by sides, okay? So by sides, our first one is going to be called escalene. An escalene triangle means that we have a triangle that has three sides with different measures. The sides are non-congruent. Okay, so let's draw a triangle. So if we have this side and we have this side, actually let's make it a little bit shorter so we can see the difference. Okay, and we have another side like that. Okay, this triangle, it's, let's put the vertex. This triangle is escalene because the three sides has different measures. We can show this if we put a little line right there, two lines on this side and three lines on this side. This means that the sides are different. They have different length. Okay, so that's how you define an escalene triangle. So now let's go with another one that is called isosceles. Isosceles triangle. You probably know this one. Okay, an isosceles triangle is a triangle that is going to have two sides with the same measurement. Two sides that are congruent. So if we draw, let me draw like this and put it here. All right, if you notice clearly, this triangle has this side and this side congruent. They have the same measurement, right? And if they have the same measurement, then we call it isosceles triangle. Understood? Okay. An equilateral triangle. How are we going to define something that we already, that you probably know? Equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle is a triangle that has three sides of equal measure. Okay, so if we have a triangle, and let me try to draw it as close as possible. So we have this triangle right here, right? And the way I draw it, it means that these three sides has the same length. So I use three marks of the same type to point out that these three have the same length. So an equilateral triangle, it's a triangle that has all their sides congruent, okay? The three sides are congruent. Right, so now let's classify the triangles by their angles, okay? By their angles. Now, we are going to have four different types of triangle. The first one is going to be an acute triangle, all right? Acute triangle. All right, so let's try and draw an acute triangle. So let's suppose that we have this side here, and we have another side here. Okay, and finally, we have another side right there. Okay, this is an acute triangle since all the angles are acute. They are less than 90 degrees. Okay, an obtuse triangle, right? When we have an obtuse triangle, what we have is a triangle that has one obtuse angle. That means that one of the angle must be greater than 90 degrees. Okay, so maybe I have this side, maybe I have this other side, and maybe I'll join these two sides, right? And if you notice on this triangle, this angle right here, right? Let me call it A. That angle right there, it's more than 90 degrees because 90 degrees, we know that it must be on a straight angle like this. So it's more than that, then it's called an obtuse triangle. Okay, so the next one is going to be called a right triangle. This one is one that we know plenty from other courses. If we have a triangle, all right, like the one that I'm drawing right now, okay, like that, and we know that one of the angles is at a right angle, like this one that I'm just showing right here. And let's call it V. So if angle V is equal to 90 degrees, then this will be a right triangle. Just to go back a little bit, if we go back to the obtuse, is if angle A is greater than 90 degrees, then we have an obtuse angle. If it's equal, then it's a right triangle. And if it's less than 90, it's an acute angle. And if we have the tree, then it's an acute triangle. Okay. The last one is called an equiangular triangle. Equiangular. Okay. And equiangular triangles are those, and let me draw it like that, are those in which all the angles are congruent. So this means that this angle right here, it's congruent with this one on the left side and this one on the other side. So if all the angles, if A, B, and C are equal, so angle A, it's congruent with angle B, and it's congruent with angle C, then it's called an equiangular triangle, right? This is how you classify triangles in geometry.